Hello and welcome to Plant-Based Foods and Nutritional Needs for Seniors, tips for serving more plants to older adults. I'm Sarah and this is Jenna, and today we are joined by MealSuite's Nutrition Services Specialists, Noel and Victoria.
So, this National Nutrition Month is all about fueling through the future, which has a lot to do with focusing on plant-based eating and its benefits for our health as well as the health of the planet. So, if you're a food service professional interested in learning more about serving more plants to your seniors, that's what we're going to be talking about today. So we usually like to start by having everyone in the audience introduce themselves. So go ahead and put your name in the chat along with your favorite plant-based food. It could be a fruit, a vegetable, an ingredient, a protein source. Let us know what you love.
Ooh, what are
I'll start by asking you ladies what your favorite is.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that.
I'll start. I'm gonna go with avocado because it's very versatile. You could spread it on toast, you could put it in smoothies. It has a nice nutritive value, lots of healthy fats.
That's a good one.
And I love my sweets, so I like making black bean brownies as a replacement sometimes for the regular brownie.
Ooh, yeah, that's a good one. I didn't think of something sweet. I go pretty simple. I'm a big fan of like peanut butter or any nut butters. I just feel like they add to everything. You can add it and it's delicious.
I'm definitely with Nora there on the tempeh. I love making like tempeh strips with buffalo sauce. And I was going to say I love tofu. It's very versatile, and I like to make Thai curry with tofu.
Well, we got Bavin says mangoes. Ooh. Oh, I love, yeah.
Mangoes
especially when
great.
like a really ripe mango and it's so sweet. We've got another one, chickpeas from Hannah. Yeah, that's a great one.
Love chickpeas.
Bananas.
Mm-hmm. Those are a lot of great proteins there coming in. So let's start off. Noel and Victoria, can you tell us a little bit about yourselves and your experience in the industry?
I'll start. My name is Victoria. I'm a dietetic technician. I have a background in acute care setting, working with food service managers and dietitians. I have experience in recipe development, menu building, and providing education to patients. I'm currently a menu service specialist with MealSuite, and I work to ensure that our recipes and menu standards are up to date and assist customers with best practices for their recipes and menus.
I'm Noel, and I'm a registered dietitian with a background in clinical dietetics and food service management in both acute care and long-term care settings. My experience includes a focus in healthcare food service regulations and therapeutic menu planning. In my current role as the lead nutrition services specialist at MealSuite, I oversee our master data integrity, create and extend seasonal recipes and menus, and guide customers in best practices.
Thank you. So let's start off with, there tends to be some misconceptions around the term plant-based. Can you tell us what plant-based really means?
That's actually a great question. So people often hear plant-based and immediately think vegetarian or vegan diets consuming little to no animal proteins, when really plant-based eating is finding ways to incorporate whole grains, fruits, vegetables, and plant-based proteins such as beans, seeds, nuts, and lentils into our everyday meals and snacks. So if you enjoy eating whole grain bread with lettuce and tomatoes and turkey, or a salad with strawberries and almonds, chickens and white beans, you're actually already eating plant-based. And hopefully through our discussion today, we can find more ways that make fun plant-based meals.
See, thank you for explaining that, because I'll be honest, the first time I heard the term plant-based, I was definitely under the assumption that that meant, oh, okay, we were trying to make vegetarian meals only. So appreciate that description and the clarification there. Our next question is, what are the benefits of incorporating more plants in the diet, especially for the needs of older adults?
Yeah, so there's several benefits to including more plants in your diet, but some of these are especially important for the older senior population because if older adults aren't getting the nutrients that they need, they can become susceptible to nutrient deficiencies, which can lead to malnutrition, decreased immune system, and the risk for diseases. So, eating more plant based foods provides more of the nutrients that our body needs while decreasing intake of nutrients like saturated fat and cholesterol, which are mainly found in animal products. Vitamins and minerals like vitamin A, vitamin C, potassium, and folate can help with skin and eye health, as well as promote health of your teeth and your gums. And so, those are all really important parts of our body as we age. They can also help with wound healing. Older adults can be more susceptible to getting wounds. So, wound healing is really important. There's also fiber found in plant based foods, which can help with bowel regularity, which can be a common issue for older adults. Also, as we age, our muscle mass can decrease. Older adults tend to move less as well, which can lead to decreased muscle mass. So making sure that they're having adequate protein is important. And what's great about plant-based proteins is that not only do they contain protein, but they also contain all of the other essential vitamins and minerals that are found in other plant foods, as well as iron and magnesium and zinc in higher amounts comparable to animal products. So, aside from the health benefits of incorporating more plant based foods in the diet, eating plant based can actually have more of a beneficial impact to the environment than most people think. We as consumers are generally less aware of the impact that our food choices have on the environment compared to more popular issues like industrial pollution or transportation pollution. But according to a recent report from Stanford University, if everyone in the United States eliminated all animal products from their diet for 1 week, that would have the same environmental impact of removing 7.6 million cars off the road. And that's because
Whoa.
growing and producing plant based foods actually uses less water, less land, and less energy than raising animals for food production. And production of animal food products is the single greatest cause of water pollution and also accounts for over half of all agricultural carbon emissions.
Oh my goodness. Wow.
Wow. Yeah, the taking cars off the road point really puts it into perspective. And we
Mhm.
don't, it proves that every little change can make a big difference.
Mhm.
Wow.
And I apologize, I forgot to mention to everyone, if you have questions for Noel and Victoria along the way, please drop them in the chat, and we're going to do a Q&A at the end of our segment here. So going off of your point about protein, I know when we think about introducing more plants to our diet, especially for older adults, we can get concerned about their protein needs. So what would be your tips for making sure that they're still getting enough protein?
So as Noel mentioned, protein is an important nutrient as it provides amino acids used to help build and maintain tissues such as muscles, bones, and red blood cells. Most older adults are actually eating sufficient amounts of protein unless they have barriers to eating, such as living alone or preparing their own meals, or have a functional limitation such as mobility issues, chewing or swallowing concerns. The general population may not realize, but swapping foods or adding foods to the diet that are whole grains, beans, lentils, they actually provide protein. So swapping out for oatmeal in the morning instead of cornflakes for breakfast, or sandwiches on whole grain bread versus white bread would actually provide an additional 5 to 10 grams of protein per day. And older adults that sometimes have difficulty chewing and swallowing due to poor dentation or muscle wasting, and then dentures not fitting, things like that. Swapping out foods like beef, instead of beef, having tofu or soft beans, things that are easier to chew is a great way for them to still get protein, but maybe make it easier for them to be able to manage.
Those are really good tips.
Yeah.
I think like when we think of the older adult generation, a lot of us even grew up having meat as the star of the plate. So it may be overwhelming to introduce maybe a little more plants. So we want to know how can we make it approachable for older adults to eat more plants?
Yeah, so I would say for this, like, don't overcomplicate it or overthink it. Sometimes, especially with older adults, they are maybe more set in their ways. They like what they like. And while meat is maybe the star of the plate, they're not used to plants being star of the plate. We generally do incorporate a lot of plant-based foods into our diet that we might not even be focused on. So finding those favorite items and then playing on that can be a great way to incorporate more without introducing something totally foreign to them. So for example, if oatmeal is a resident favorite at your facility, you can try adding diced peaches, sliced strawberries, or sliced banana, even a spoonful of peanut butter, just as a way to boost vitamins, minerals, and protein. If pizza is a fan favorite at your facility, you can try doing like a roasted vegetable pizza instead of a meat-based pizza. Smoothies are also a really great way to add in extra fruits and veggies to the diet, because you can start with a fruit base and add in some celery or a handful of spinach or some avocado, and the flavor is really masked by that fruit, and they're really easy and fun to eat. Soups is also something that I think get overlooked sometimes. Soup is a good comfort food. I think it's well received in the older population. Soup is a great way to add in some plant-based proteins like beans and lentils, or whole grains like wild rice or barley. And you can add a bunch of different veggies in there and really have a hearty plant-based meal without the focus really being a plant-based meal.
Yeah.
And then also I want to comment on seasonality. So no one likes having a hard, flavorless cantaloupe in the middle of winter. So really
Yeah.
focusing on serving produce that is in season, it tends to be more flavorful and might be better accepted by residents.
Those are great tips. I like the idea of taking something that is already very familiar to them and you can just add to it. You don't need to take anything away. You're just adding more flavor and nutrients, and that's a really good tip. So in terms of just swapping ingredients for like fan favorite dishes that your residents already like, what are some of your favorite ingredient swaps to replace something animal-based with something plant-based?
I have a couple favorites. I would say one of them would be tofu for eggs. So that was always pretty popular in my experience. Tofu can scramble up really nice. It has a really neutral flavor, so it can be combined with other flavors really well. Even making like a tofu salad sandwich rather than an egg salad sandwich can be a great swap. I'd say one of my personal favorites is using veggies as the filling for Hispanic foods like tacos or enchiladas or quesadillas. Black beans or sweet potato, roasted cauliflower, things like that can really make great hearty fillings for tacos and enchiladas. And with all the flavor going on, you really don't miss that meat at all.
Those are great suggestions.
Yeah.
I also really like making black bean burgers. It's a good alternative to have the barbecue season like all year round because you can make them in the oven. And another thing that I like doing at home is making roasted chickpeas. You can add them to salads instead of croutons, or give the salad the extra crunch. And I even sometimes eat them on their own.
Yeah. You know what? I'm with you on that one. A black bean burger is so tasty, especially if you put a nice sauce on there.
Oh, yeah.
Now, we actually do have a question come in. The question is, how would incorporating more plant-based proteins potentially affect a community's food budget?
Yeah, so this is actually a great point. Proteins tend to be the highest cost menu component on a menu. So, swapping things like dried beans, which have a really low price point, can actually be beneficial for your budget. So, the plant based proteins often do have a lower price point than animal based proteins. Also going back to seasonality here, I think is important. So strawberries are going to have a better price point in the early summer when they're more readily grown and available than they are in the middle of winter. Also, not discounting the use of frozen fruits and veggies. So they retain a good amount of their nutritive value because they're frozen shortly after picking. And they do tend to be more budget friendly. They can be worked into things like soups and other dishes like that, where you're not really missing out on the quality of the fresh, but you're still getting all the nutritive benefits.
I see. I'm glad you mentioned that because I had always heard this, belief that if you freeze a vegetable, you're going to lose all the nutritional value from it. And I always wondered if that was true or not. So I'm
Yeah,
glad
no,
you
they
debunked that.
lock in that nutrition when they freeze.
That's great. And you're right. Like you never notice them if you put that in a stir fry. It's so easy.
Mm-hmm. Or frozen fruit and smoothies.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Perfect. And does anyone else have any questions? Any other questions from the audience? If not, I guess we will thank
Oh,
everyone.
we have one more here. What advice do you have to serve more plant-based foods to residents with decreased appetites?
Oh, good question.
Yeah, I can take that one also. So, decreased appetites is a pretty common issue for older adults. So, providing more smaller, frequent meals or snacks in between meals is a good way to combat low appetite. And trying to provide the largest meal at the time of day where they're most hungry is another point. Sometimes residents or older adults can be more tired in the evening and be apt to eat less at dinner time. So finding that time of day where they're most hungry and trying to get the most plant-based foods into that meal can be a great way. And also choosing foods that are really nutrient dense. So if they're not that hungry and they're not eating large amounts, you really want to get a good bang for your buck, if you will. So something like nut butters or avocado that pack a lot of nutrition into a small amount can be a great way to boost those calories. Like spreading nut butter on crackers as a snack would be a great idea. And then also, as I mentioned previously, playing on their favorites. So, if you have a resident and the only thing they want to eat is ice cream, put some diced peaches on their ice cream or mix it up with a little bit of plants here and there.
You know what? That's a great tip. I feel like you're adding health to it. I love it. So if you don't have any more questions, we'll wrap up the live today.
Yeah, and as a takeaway for everyone joining us today, Jenna is going to put a link in the chat for 10 free plant-based recipes that you can download and check out that have been created by our MealSuite team. So if anyone does try them out, we would love to hear the feedback on them.
Great. And we hope everyone had a fabulous nutrition month and let us know your thoughts on the discussion today. Maybe you can see that there. Awesome. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.